This tutorial looks at the volume of cylinders, cones, and spheres. As with surface area, cylinders don't have too many things to worry about other than the radius of the cylinder and the height. The volume of a cylinder is equal to the area of the base times the height. So this should look familiar to what we did in the previous video, except when we're talking about cylinders, the area of the base will always be a circle. And given that it's always a circle, we have a formula for the area of a circle, pi r squared, and height. So as long as we put the right thing in the right spot, it's pretty hard to make a mistake. And again, remember, the units are cubed. Well, the volume of a cone is very similar to the volume of a cylinder. And again, cones have a circular base and the height, the tallness, and the volume of a cone is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. And again, the area of the base of a cone will always be a circle. And just like with pyramids and prisms, we have this relationship, 1/3 of. And again, I didn't put a link to a YouTube video, but if you want to see this really nice 1-to-3 relationship, just go to YouTube and put volume of a cone in the search, and you'll see water being filled up from a cone, and it takes 3 cones to fill up 1 cylinder, given that the cylinder and the cone have the same radius and the same height. So again, seen as the area of the base is always a circle, there's our pi r squared, and there's our h. And finally, a sphere. The spheres are really nice looking, nice, easy to deal with, because a sphere only has one thing going for it, and that's radius. And the volume for a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So here's the 3 formulas that have been figured out for us, and all we have to be able to do is to use them. And again, as long as we're careful, and as long as we either sketch a picture or at least label the given picture, it's pretty difficult to make a mistake. So again, here's our cone, and a cone has a height, and in this case the height is 20, and in this case the radius is 7. And in looking at this, well, I know there's a specific formula, 1/3 pi r squared h, and it's always a good idea, as I've been saying all along, to write that formula. Helps out your brain. You're simply going to plug the numbers in where they go, and then you're going to get out your calculator. And again, for pi, if you can use the pi button, or you can use 3.14, because we're only going to round it to 1 decimal place anyway. And when we plug all these numbers in our calculator, here's what we get, 1025.7. Again, we have our cubic units. Now, we haven't really run into this too much, but whenever you have a fraction in the formula and you're going to use your calculator, here's what you really should do. You should put brackets, then you should go 1 divided by 3 and close your brackets. And as long as you do that, the calculator is not going to mess up. It's not going to get mixed up. So this is what I would always like you to do. Brackets 1 divided by 3, or whatever the fraction is. Okay, the volume of a sphere. Now, again, we have to be careful. If we're going to use a formula, we have to make sure we plug in the right thing into the right spot. We're told that the diameter of this sphere is 16 millimeters. So again, that's really important to recognize. It's 16 millimeters, but we want the radius, and the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. So again, in our formula, V is equal to 4 over 3 pi r cubed. R is the radius. We have to know what the letters stand for. And as long as we put the right numbers in and then get our calculator, we will get the right answer. So remember, we're going to go brackets 4 divided by 3, close the brackets. And when we plug all those numbers in, we get 2,143.6 cubic millimeters. And finally, our last shape is a cylinder. And again, cylinders have a radius. In this case, it's 3 inches. And we have a height of 12 inches. And our formula is area of the base, pi r squared, times the height. And when we plug all our numbers in and we get out our calculator, we get 339.1 cubic inches. So a couple of things to be careful with. Know what the letters stand for. H is not the slant height, it's the tallness, it's the height. R is the radius, not the diameter. And again, it's easy to forget about that 1/3